but we as a continent have now defined ourselves.
In the news, Ibori loot UK to return 4.2 million to Nigeria. Across Africa, bilateral relations, Botswana, Malawi president hold talks. On the international scene, France's Sahel agenda, Macron reviews Algeria's military involvement. And in business, trade deficit, Nigeria records 7.37 trillion naira in 2020. In sport, NFF unveils Super Eagles invitees for Benin, Lesotho tie. Details shortly. This is TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African network. I am Rose Audu, and this is TOS News 360. The British government has resolved to return to Nigeria 4.2 million, being part of the fund so far recovered from friends and family members of former Delta Governor James Ibori. The British High Commission to Nigeria, Catriona Ling, who disclosed this on Tuesday in Abuja, said this was the first tranche of such planned returns. Ling said what is currently being returned were retrieved from friends and family members of Ibori. She noted that Ibori case is complicated and the United Kingdom authorities were still working on the total actual amount involved in the case. The Lagos Police Commissioner Hakeem Odumosu on Monday said the command has taken steps to prevent former heather clashes in neighboring Ogun State from escalating to Lagos. He said steps have also been taken to prevent cases of kidnappings and other violent crimes, noting that the command was monitoring happenings across the country and constantly reviewing its security arrangements. Odumosu said this during an interview with reporters at Power Hall, Ikeja, before his meeting with area commanders, unit heads and division police officers. Officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in Anambra said they intercepted at least 58.5 grams of cocaine and 13.9 grams of heroin from the palace of prominent traditional ruler in the state. Femi Babafemi, who is currently the agency's media and advocacy personnel, disclosed this in a statement on Monday. Though Femi did not disclose the identity of the monarch, he said there were efforts to unravel how the illicit drugs were hidden in his palace. According to Femi, suspected drug trafficker Hassan Bishi Taiwe was arrested at the Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, with 3 parcels of cocaine concealed in a fourth button of his suitcase. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Monday arraigned a former Minister of State for Power, Mohammed Wakil, on 2 counts of corruption at the FCT High Court, Apo. The prosecution alleged that the defendant in 2014 corruptly received the sum of 148 million from the funds approved for the payment of outstanding insurance premiums and claims of deceased and incapacitated staff, members of Power Holding Company of Nigeria. And this is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS TV network. You're watching TOS News 360, stories from across Africa in a moment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back, and this is TOS 360 News. In Africa, the leader of Benin's largest opposition party and first female presidential candidate has been arrested and is accused of planning to assassinate several political figures, a government spokesman said Monday. Rakia Madugo's candidacy for the presidential election on April 11 was rejected by the Electoral Commission on Thursday for failing to garner signature or support from 16 mayors or MPs. Many opposition figures are already in exile or barred from office in Benin, a West African state which critics say has veered into authoritarianism under President Patrice Talon. Botswana President Magwetsi Masisi on Monday held bilateral talks with his Malawian counterpart Lazarus Chakwera on a raft of issues of mutual interest, including cooperation and deepening of bilateral relations. The two held their discussions at the Kumuzu Palace in the Malawian capital, Lilongwe, during the day-long working visit, which also saw Masisi become the first foreign head of state to visit Malawi since Chakwera's historic election in June last year. The leaders also discussed education and the research and management of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has exerted a heavy toll on both countries. And moving on to the international scene, Algeria's People National Army was quick to dismiss news of Algerian troops supporting the French-led military operations in the Sahel as propaganda aimed at offending national institutions. Algerian officials were swift and condemnatory, according to Miracle and its Zionist allies, of fabricating the story. For his part, President Abdelmajid Tebboune confirmed that his country would not send troops to the Sahel region anytime soon, but did not deny the news report. However, French President Macron announced during a televised press conference that Algerian troops are operating in the French campaign to root out terrorists from the Sahel, thus exposing the lies and misinformation that the ANP have been feeding the Algerian people. And still in Algeria, several Algerian women took to the streets on Tuesday to protest against a family code they consider demeaning as they marked International Women's Day in the conservative country. The family code was adopted in 1984 and is drawn from Islamic Sharia law and which stipulates about property ownership. Several women chanted slogans and scuffled with security in the capital, Algiers. Meanwhile, the United Nations on Tuesday condemned the killing of Philippine police of 9 activists in weekend raids against suspected insurgents and urged authorities to avoid rhetoric that could lead to human rights violations. Rights groups have accused President Rodrigo Duterte of encouraging a crackdown on activists to silence dissent and target his distractors under the guise of intensified counter-insurgency operations against mass rebels. His government has said Sunday's killings were lawful and legitimate operations, but has promised a full investigation. According to him, we are deeply worried that these latest killings indicate an escalation of violence, intimidation, harassment, and red tagging of human rights defenders. UN human rights spokeswoman Ravina Shamdasani told a news briefing in Geneva. And still talking on the international news, discontent is brewing in the ranks of Lebanon's security forces over a currency crash, wiping out most of the value of their salaries as unrest and crime surge. In unusually outspoken comments, Army Chief General Joseph Earn said his warnings that the pressure on soldiers' earnings and morale could lead to an implosion had fallen on deaf ears. Lebanon's pound has crashed 85% since late 2019 in a financial meltdown that poses the biggest threat to stability since the 1975-1990 civil war. Up next is business, health and sports. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching TOS News 360. And in business, Nigeria's trade with other countries worsened in 2020, resulting in a trade deficit of 7.37 trillion naira for the year, following sharp decline in exports of crude oil, solid minerals, and manufactured goods. The huge trade deficit represents 317% decline when compared with the trade surplus of 2.32 trillion naira recorded in the 2019. This dismal performance was occasioned by 10.3% year-on-year decline in total foreign trade to 32.42 trillion naira in 2020 from 36.15 trillion naira in 2019. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, disclosed this in its foreign trade statistics for the fourth quarter of 2020. The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation has stated that it is in collaboration with sister agencies in law enforcement to curtail cybercrimes, especially in the financial system. Speaking at the annual capacity building program for law enforcement agencies in Lagos yesterday, and the NDIC's Executive Director, Corporate Services, Motola Abiola Edewo, said there has been an increase in the volume of fraud cases in banks in recent years. Meanwhile, Justice Latifat Falami of Anikeja High Court will on April 15 commence hearing of a doubt dispute between Tata Africa Services Limited and Jasper Biochemicals and Allied Products Limited. In the suit, the claimant Tata Africa is seeking 39,088,877 naira from Jasper Biochemicals, being the money allegedly owed it for the purchase of industrial and food chemicals. But Jasper Biochemicals counterclaimed for 60,371,110 naira for alleged breach contract, sale of expired, inferior and substandard chemicals, 20 million naira for breach of contract, and 23,286,048 naira as outstanding rent of its warehouse and cost of repairing the warehouse. In a statement of claims, Tata Africa averred that by a local purchase order of September 3, 2018, the defendant Jasper Biochemicals purchased industrial and food chemicals from it worth 44,352,357 naira 59 kobo, but only paid marginal part of the sum, leaving an outstanding balance of 39,088,877. And moving on to health news, Ogun State became the first state to receive AstraZeneca vaccine yesterday, when the state governor, Prince Dakpo Abiodun, took delivery of 100,000 doses of the vaccine. Abiodun said he and his deputy, Nomod Salako Oyedele, will lead other members of the state executive in taking the COVID-19 vaccine as demonstration of faith in the safety and efficacy of the vaccines as soon as the doctors are ready to administer it on them. When Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, received the first batch of COVID-19 vaccines, government officials and stakeholders heaved a sigh of relief. Dr. Osage Ahaniro, Nigeria's Minister of Health, said it is a feeling of relief and elation that at last we are joining the community of nations who can vaccinate their citizens against COVID-19 disease, which has been raging across the world. We have, to some extent, lagged, but are relieved that we can now start vaccinating our citizens. Nigeria recorded 371 new COVID-19 cases Monday, bringing the total number of known cases in the country to 158,906. Meanwhile, while COVID-19 daily infection figures have significantly reduced in the past 2 weeks, the death tally from the disease has remained high, indicating that the country is not yet out of the woods. About 1,982 deaths have now been recorded from coronavirus in Nigeria after 13 more people died on Monday. Monday's fatality figure is higher than the 5 deaths recorded on Sunday and raised the fatality toll in the past 6 days to 75. Nigeria has thus averaged about 12 deaths per day in the past week, compared to the average of about 5 daily deaths since the virus was first detected in the country. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says no fewer than 2,167 people have been vaccinated in Guinea and the Democratic Republic of Congo against Ebola. WHO Regional Office for Africa stated this in Ebola outbreak situation report posted on its Twitter handle. According to the UN Health Agency, 1,804 people have been vaccinated in Guinea, while 1,083 people have been vaccinated in the Republic of Congo, given the breakdown of the case. WHO stated 18 cases had been reported in Guinea, while 9 people had also lost their lives to the disease. And in sports, Super Eagles head coach General Raw has included Captain Ahmed Musa, Deputy Captain William Ekan, goalkeeper Francis Uzoho, midfielder Wilfred Ndidi, and forward Victor Osehin in a 24-man list for this month's 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying battles with Benin Republic and Lesotho. Nigeria top the Group E log with 8 points. And Republic and 5 more than third-place Sierra Leone tackle the Squirrels away the Stade Charles de Gaulle in Porto Novo on Saturday, 27th March, and will lock horns with the Crocodiles of Lesotho at the Teslin Balogun Stadium, Lagos, 3 days later. Both are the concluding games of the qualifying series. And Chelsea gave their top 4 ambitions a boost as they secured a 2-0 win against Everton at Stamford Bridge on Monday night. Alex Iwobi was in Everton's starting 11 but had little impact before going off on 56 minutes for Tom Davies. Ben Godfrey on goal and Joringo penalty sealed the win for the Blues. The win means Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel has become the first manager in Premier League history to see his side keep a clean sheet in each of his first 5 home games in charge in the competition. And Josh Low will step down as Germany's head coach after Euro 2020. The German Football Association has announced the 61-year-old former Stuttgart manager has been in charge of Germany since 2006, having also served as Jürgen Klinsmann's assistant in the national team setup for the 2 years prior to being handed the top job. He gathered Germany to the Euro 2008 final, which they eventually lost to Spain, and to third place at the 2010 World Cup. 4 years later in Brazil, Germany won their 4th World Cup by defeating Argentina in the final, having thrashed the hosts 7-1 in the semis in that most remarkable of matches. And that is TOS News 360 on your digital Pan-African network. For more updates, visit www.tostvnetwork.com and do follow and like TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS TV Network. I am Rose Audu, and do have a very good evening.
As a continent have now defined ourselves.